Alright everyone, so in the previous video we uploaded the sounds for the wizard's footsteps, and now it's time to begin the process of coding up the whole process of making the sounds so that the wizard makes them in the way that we want him to make them. So if we go to sounds to see what we've already done, you can see that we have these two sounds here, the wood tap and the wood tap 2, and those are going to be the two sounds that we're going to use for the tip tap effect that we want to get. Now, just in order to kind of make that a little bit clearer, let's go to one of those, the wood tap, and let's change its name to tip. And then go to the other one, and we'll change its name to tap. And that'll just help us to know what it is that we're doing here. Then we'll go back to code. And what we're going to do is we're going to write a function that will govern the control of the feet in such a way that it alternates a tip and a tap. So that's all we're going to do in this video. We're not going to get all the way to creating the sound and making it work yet. We're just going to put together a function that toggles between tips and taps. So it makes sure it alternates between a tip and a tap and back again. So we're going to go to My Blocks. We're going to make a block. And we're going to call it sound for one step. Okay. So here's that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab an if then else block. So that's this. And then what this is going to do, this is going to be the whole code for this thing. It's going to say, look, if I just did a tip, then I want you to do a tap. But otherwise, else, if I just did a tap, then I want you to do a tip. And so that's the way that it's going to work. So in order to kind of track tips and taps, we're going to create a variable. And we're going to call it tip tap. And it's happy that this is for this sprite only. That'll be okay. Because nothing else will need it other than the... It's only the wizard that needs to keep track of where his feet are up to. The ghost won't need to ever understand this. The lightning won't ever need to access this variable. So we'll just keep it nice and contained and just give it to the wizard only. So tip tap for this sprite only. Okay. And then grab an equals. And here's where we write our test. So we're going to say, well, what are you up to right now? What is the last thing that you did? So what is the current value of tip tap? And we can do this in various ways. It doesn't matter how we code this up. It doesn't really matter what we write here, as long as we write something different for tip and for tap. So I could write a tip as 0 and have a tap be 1. Or I could have the tip be the value true and the tap be the value false. But I think the easiest way is just to call them tip and tap. So what did I do last? So if tip tap equals tip, then that means I did a tip last. So this time I want to do a tap. So we'll go to sound. And we'll do start sound. Tap. So if I just did a tip, do a tap. Otherwise, I must have just done a tap. Well, in that case, do a tip. And that's pretty much the code. Now, there's one thing that's missing, which is we've got to reset the variable. So grab this. So don't forget to write into tip tap that you just did a tap. So if I just did a tip, then do a tap, and then change tip tap so that it says I just did a tap. And then similarly, if I just did a tap, then make a tip sound, and then change tip tap to say that I just made a tip sound. So now, if you see what's going to happen here, it's going to come in here when this is called, and nothing yet calls it. So if you try running this in the game right now, nothing will change because we haven't integrated it with the rest of the code. We haven't got other functions to ask it to do its thing. But when we do that, then when they ask it to do its thing, what it will do is it will go, oh, okay, what did I do last? Did I do a tip? Right, in that case, I'm going to do a tap. I'm going to change tip tap to tap. And then when I get called again, I'm going to ask, what did I do last? Well, we know that we just changed it to tap, so it's going to go straight down to here, and it's going to do a tip. Then it's going to change that to tip. And then when it starts this again, it's going to say, what did I do last? Well, we just changed it to tip. So it's going to say, yeah, I just did a tip. So then it's going to do a tap. So every time what it's doing is it's just checking whatever it did last, it's doing the opposite. And then it's writing that down that it changed it. And that's all that this function does. Okay, so the next video, what we'll do is we will show how to integrate this in a code in general, and then we'll get the whole thing working. I'll see you then. Thank you for listening, and if you find this video useful, please hit like and subscribe.